Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and today should be my reading wrap up for the month of September. But unfortunately, I haven't been reading all that much. I read 3 books in the month of September. These are the 3 books I read. 2 of them are graphic novels, so clearly I have not been reading a lot lately. So I don't really feel like it's worth doing a reading wrap up this month, but what I do have for you is basically a giant haul. It was also my birthday in the month of September. On the 29th, I turned 31 and one of my best friends, Annie, sent me a big box of books. Since the pandemic started, the Book Grocer, which is sort of like a Remains bookshop here in Australia, they have been doing these book boxes. So you can buy, like whether it's fiction or non-fiction, you can sort of select a genre and they will send you a big box of mystery books in that genre. They also have more like a generic box and I think that's what Annie has selected for me. So I got a bit of non-fiction, a bit of fiction, a big mix. And it is a weird, wacky, interesting mix of books, so I thought I would share that with you. And especially if you're in Australia and you're sort of curious what these book boxes look like. I think every single one is different, but to give you an idea, this is what I got in mine. So firstly, the book that I actually have read is this one. It's John Waters' Make Trouble, and I didn't know who John Waters was. He wrote Hairspray and Pink Flamingos. I know Hairspray, I don't think I've seen it. But this is basically a speech that he did at like a graduation ceremony for the Rhode Island School of Design. So it's his speech, but made into like a little graphic novel. It's very cute. It was a very quick read, maybe 10 minutes. I didn't agree with all of it. His take on trigger warnings is reductive and simplistic and unhelpful, but a lot of it I did think was quite fun. And the whole point of this was to be sort of like challenging and inspiring. And I think he achieved that. He's encouraging these young people that he's speaking to not just go out and make art, you know, that fits the status quo, but to shake things up and to challenge people. I'll read you one little bit. He says, "Go out in the world and fuck it up beautifully. Design clothes so hideous they can't be worn ironically. Horrify us with new ideas. Outrage outdated critics. Use technology for transgression, not lazy social living. Make me nervous." So that's sort of like the vibe of the book. And I actually quite enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was a quick read and yeah, it was fun. Then the book that I'm reading at the moment, I don't know that you can really describe this as reading. David Byrne, you know, from Talking Heads? Yeah, that David Byrne. This is like a bunch of his little diagrams that he does, like sort of like thought dump, like brain dumpy sort of idea explorations where he's like taken a topic and made these weird little tree diagrams, like connecting different ideas. Like there's a couple in here that I was like, oh wow, that's brilliant. A couple made me laugh, but the majority I'm just sort of there being like, what the fuck? So I can't tell whether it's brilliant or a total cash grab, but I mean, it is kind of interesting. It's very unique. It's odd. It's strange, but I'm not mad at it. Although having said that, there is one in here that I don't understand and is just literally a tree with racial slurs on it. And there's no explanation. Some of them have an explanation. This one doesn't. I don't know. Next up, we've got the Quotable Stoner, which is not really a book for me, but I'm sure it seems like a good time. More than 1,100 baked, lit up and zonked out quotes in tribute to and as a result of smoking weed. Then we've got like a memoir by Lenny Henry, who I'm not familiar with. The book's called Who Am I Again? In 1975, a gangly black 16-year-old in floppy bow tie and Frank Spencer beret appeared on our TV screens for the first time. This apprentice factory worker from Dudley had no idea he would go on to become a national treasure. Here at last, Sir Lenny Henry tells the revealing, moving and very funny story of his rise to fame. I don't know who Lenny Henry is, so I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little bit. And then I think this cover is so pretty. This is Inland. And this is a fiction book, and I think it's historical fiction. Yeah, it's set in Arizona territory in 1893. And it says mythical, lyrical and sweeping in scope. The author subverts and reimagines the myths of the American West, making them entirely and unforgettably her own. So I don't know, never heard of it, but sounds interesting. This is An Ocean of Limits by Thea Lim. Polly and Frank are young and in love, a lifetime together before them. But one evening in 1980, the world is suddenly pulled apart by a deadly virus. Within months, Frank is dying. Polly can save him, but only if she agrees to a radical plan. To time travel to 1993 for a corporation who can fund his life-saving treatment. She can only go forward, she cannot go back. And she must leave everything she loves behind, including Frank. Oh, All they have is the promise of a future together. They will find each other again in 12 years' time in Galveston, Texas, where the sea begins. But when something goes wrong and Polly arrives late, Frank is nowhere to be found. Completely alone, Polly must navigate a terrifying new world to find him and discover if their love has endured. Ooh! That actually sounds, I don't know, that sounds either like it could be terrible or like amazing. Okay, now for a bonkers one. Man versus Life, a strategic approach to man stress. And I love that man stress is so important that it needed a trademark. Very basic coping skills for very basic men. Warning, this is not a self-help book. This just seems bonkers. I don't know what to think. Over 30, married, have children, a desk job, unfit, stressed, time poor, jaded. Written in the style of a spoof PowerPoint business report, Man vs. Life is a humorous look at the psyche of the married man in his 30s and 40s who works in an office and is overrun by children and financial stress, and gently mocks his domestic situation and the crises he faces on a daily basis. It's a very colourful sort of a book, which is kind of cool. Sex and masturbation frequency. Wife mapping. Oh. So I'm guessing I'm not the target demographic of that one. Then we've got One Way by S.J. Morden, which actually did come quite damaged, but that's okay. Mars is ready to be colonized, but not without sacrifices. Frank, father, architect, murderer, is recruited for the mission to Mars with the promise of a better life, along with 7 of his most notorious fellow inmates. But as his crew sets to work on the Red Wasteland, the accidents mount up, and Frank begins to suspect they might not be accidents at all. As the list of suspects grows shorter, it's up to Frank to uncover the terrible truth before it's too late. So a bonkers Mars sci-fi adventure mystery thing. Now we've got a bit of self-help by Gretchen Rubin. Outer order, inner calm. Declutter and organize to make more room for happiness. Now I have read a Gretchen Rubin. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the one about like the different personality types. And I didn't love that book, and I didn't love Gretchen Rubin and her style, but I did take 1 or 2 things from the book. So, I don't know. I think I probably will read this one. I don't know. I might skim it. I'm curious anyway. This seems like less like a read-through book and more like, you know, 1-page little tidbits, I guess. So I think it'll be a very quick and easy book to read. Then we've got Melbourne Precincts, a curated guide to the city's best shops, eateries, bars, and other hangouts. So I actually am kind of excited about this one. Like, I live in Melbourne, for those of you who don't know. So, I mean, I'm not sure how relevant this will be after the pandemic when I'll actually be able to go out exploring again. But, I mean, I do love Melbourne. I love my city. So this is kind of fun. And then this is not really a book. It's a lined journal. You can never have too many notebooks. And then this is probably the only book that I, like, wanted to buy for myself. Like, I have, you know, seen this book in bookshops before and wanted to get it. It's Malala's We Are Displaced, My Journey and Stories from Refugee Girls Around the World. So it's just different stories of different girls and their experiences being displaced, being refugees. So this is the one I'm definitely most looking forward to. Then Saving Missy. I actually really like this cover. These houses are very cute, very pretty. Help was on her doorstep. All she had to do was let it in. Grieving for a family she has lost or lost touch with, Missy is haunted by the echoes of her footsteps in her empty home, the sound of the radio in the dark, the tick, tick, tick of the watching clock. Prickly yet fragile, Missy knows that her loneliness is all her own fault. She deserves no more than this, not after what she's done. But a chance encounter in the park with 2 very different women opens the door to something new. I'm actually intrigued. I think I will read this. This sounds really interesting. And I really like these little doodles on the front and the back. They're very cute. Another kind of weird one, we've got Serpentine, which is just a book of very detailed pictures of snakes, which is not something I really thought I wanted in my life, but here we are. Next we've got the big book, Hilary Mantel's The Mirror and the Light, which I know this is probably, I don't know, one of the bigger releases, like one of the few books that I know, you know, like this was a big book, not just in size, but like in terms of like, you know, people know about this book, people were talking about this book. Hilary Mantel is a very, very famous and successful author. We all know that. So I am sort of curious to read Hilary Mantel because I've heard so much about her, but I mean, this is the 3rd book in a series, so I feel it's a bit, I don't know. I don't really like that they included that in a book box like this, because like I can't read this because I have not read the other 2. Yeah. Next up, we have a little colouring book, a garden colouring book, which looks kind of sweet. I don't know. I haven't done any colouring in a while, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. I Told You So. Gore Vidal talks politics. I don't know who this person is, but it's a small book, so I probably will try to read it. Gore, who died at the end of July 2012, is widely acknowledged as one of America's foremost novelists, essayists, and screenwriters. But Vidal was also a terrific conversationalist and never more eloquent or caustic than when he let loose on his favourite topic, the history and politics of the United States. I don't really know who this person is, but sounds interesting. This is kind of a pretty cover. The Strawberry Thief. Never heard of this book. So it sounds like it's a small town and somebody dies, and so then like the dynamic sort of changes in the town and a mystery begins to be uncovered. Sounds like that sort of a story. Everything seems to herald some kind of change, a confrontation, a turbulence, even perhaps a murder. Ooh, intriguing. Then we've got a bit of non-fiction. Fat, the secret organ. Fat has become a dirty word, but we know so little about how it really works. This book presents the groundbreaking findings which explode many of the myths and prejudices surrounding body fat and will make us completely rethink our relationship with it. Oh, interesting. Okay, and then maybe the biggest book, or at least it's up there with Hilary Mantel, is Kate Moss's The Burning Chambers. This gives off strong fantasy vibes to me, or maybe historical fiction. France 1562. The Burning Chambers is a gripping story of love and betrayal, mysteries and secrets, war and adventure, conspiracies and divided loyalties. I don't know, we all know I don't really love to read 600-page books, but I mean, I do also kind of enjoy historical fiction, so you never know. Best summer stories. This one I'm actually excited about. This is brilliant short fiction from some of Australia's most talented storytellers. I don't know many of the people listed here, but Tony Birch is among them, so that intrigues me. This is from 2018, so it's pretty recent. So this is probably the other one that I'm most looking forward to. This is The Louise Parker Method, Lean for Life. Transform your body in 6 weeks. Well, to start with, I'm vegetarian, so this is not for me. But some of the pictures are quite pretty, so I'll go through and see if there's anything that I'm interested in. Then this one made me laugh. Battle of Brothers, William, Harry, and the inside story of a family in tumult. The world has watched Prince William and Prince Harry since they were born, raised by Princess Diana to be the closest of brothers. How have the boy princes grown into very different, now distant men? I mean, I love The Crown, and for someone who is not a monarchist, I'm like, I low-key find the family very interesting, but I don't think I'm invested enough to read an entire book about William and Harry. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe on one of my weaker days, I would find this very interesting. Then we've got Big Chicken. Some of these books, I don't know. The incredible story of how antibiotics created modern agriculture and changed the way the world eats. Americans eat chicken more than any other meat, but our nation's favourite food comes with an invisible cost, its insidious effect on our health. In this extraordinary narrative, acclaimed journalist Maren McKenna reveals how antibiotic use has altered the way we consume industrially raised meat and its impact on our daily lives. Well, as a vegetarian, this isn't one of my major concerns personally, but honestly, just getting to say Big Chicken on my BookTube channel is a life goal. So thank you, Maren McKenna. And then another cookbook, Delicious Every Day, mostly healthy, always tasty. That's a little more up my alley, but again, I don't think it's vegetarian. Oh, cauliflower salad. I might like that. That looks nice. Thank you again to my friend Annie for giving me such a thoughtful and fun present. Like this book box is heavily discounted. I think they're about $100, $120. So for all of these books, it is largely about the experience and getting to, I don't know, discover some books that you might not have picked up for yourself. So I'm not planning on reading all of these books. I know several of them are just definitely not for me. I mean, like man stress isn't the primary concern in my life at this point. But there's definitely a few that have piqued my interest and a couple that I'm actually really, really keen for, like We Are Displaced and the short stories from Australia. Those ones are definitely at the top of my list. And then there's a few of the fictions that have piqued my interest. But that is all for me for this video. I know, not a reading wrap up. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more luck with my reading and concentration in the month of October, and I'll be able to get back to you with the next book box vlog and a reading wrap up in October. But until then, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying your reading a little bit more than I am at the moment. And take care, and I'll talk to you in the comments and again soon. Much love. Bye.